Hi guys, Steve here, welcome back. On the last episode I built my steel production line on this side of the base, but it turned out to be a major pain in the ass because the production line end for everything else is on the other side of the base, and I had to do huge conveyor belts all over the top of everything down to this side. So what I'm going to do on this episode is delete this production line, then build a ceiling above this base as it is. So just go to this side. We have production line ends at this side of the base where everything comes out. So I'm going to have conveyor belts then that goes up onto the next floor and then back all the way to the back of the base. Then if I need it again, up, then across, up, then across, up, then across, like a pyramid. So what I'm going to do now is delete the steel production line at that end and build a second floor to this base so we can have a two-tier factory and put all the steel stuff on the top. So I'm going to do that now and see you in a minute. Right, I've finished the second floor to the factory and it's looking pretty darn good. I started off over this side. I built it up on walls with those hatch frames in, look like windows. I wanted more light to come through. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. Then I did a normal wall. Then on top of the ceiling I did these lower foundations. So I just built off from there, then across. You only actually need one wall connecting it. Then you can have the entire ceiling floating, but to make it look more realistic I've added these extra struts in to hold it up. So I've done 3 each side. I've just finished the ceiling. I'll delete the steel production line in a minute. So let's go up top. I had to build it this high to clear everything, and this is all the space I've got to play with. Hopefully it should be enough. So instead of having the steel production line down there, we can have it starting here and then going all the way back. It's quite high up, I wouldn't advise jumping down just yet. I had to do it 5 walls high because those mining drills are pretty high up and I had to cover them. That's the amount of height you need. So I now can get everything coming out this end production line and move it to the top if I wished. So that's the second floor. I just thought I'd show it you before I go on and delete the steel production line, which I shall do now. Okay, so I've removed the lower steel production line and that leaves me with this drill free. Now I might connect it up to these smelters because there's some gaps here in the conveyor belts, so that should hopefully fill that up. Because at the moment each ore line is being split into 3, so if I do it into 2 that should fill the gaps up. And I've moved the steel production line that was down here up above. I have to put these ramps in. Instead of having the coal going across to fill this production line, I've now got it coming up a ramp from down there. And that goes all the way down that side. Now I'll show you why once we're up here. So this is our steel production line and I definitely needed the space. I'll quickly show you how long it is. I've got 4 foundries. making steel, and 2 normal smelters making copper. Now all the ore is feeding the iron factory below us, but to feed all this steel I've created this glorious conveyor belt system. Look at that, it's like an awesome Roman aqueduct. And that's where I'm getting all the resources to make my entire steel production line. So I'm going to start just past the power stations and show you where the ore collecting starts. We're going to work our way up to where I got the coal from, and then all the way back. Now we're going to go over the factory and show you how it all works. So here next to the coal power stations, and there is a copper node here, so I've stuck a Mark II drill on and got the ore going over that rock. I'll show you why on the way back. Now I don't really need the trucks anymore because I'm connecting it to the main factory with conveyor belts. So if we go up here, done a few changes. So I've stopped that cart from working, and I've deleted the conveyor belt because I don't really need this giving it coal anymore. So we have a coal coming down here. That gets split off. It goes to the... in fact I can delete this for now. Coal went down to there, but we don't really need that. So it splits it into 2. We have a coal going into 2 power stations now because I needed it with the extra drills. And I've connected these power stations up with the main factory. Then we have this coal production line going all the way down here, and that connects up with the chain of conveyor belts. Now below here we had 2 ores. That's producing ore, and so is this. And then we have a limestone one over here. I wasn't sure if I needed vehicles or cars to go under here, so I've raised this up so it can if it needs to. So we have the coal on the bottom layer, then we have ore on the second one, ore again on the third, and limestone from there on the 4th conveyor belt. And that goes up here. Now down here we have 2 more ore drills. That goes up to there, and another one there. So we now have 4 ores connected. We've got coal, ore, and that's limestone. Now that's the power line connected. Goes all the way across. You remember that copper drill I showed you at the start? That's where that's coming in. So you have limestone, then copper, and that gives you all the ingredients I need. Now this comes down here into a splitter, and that goes off and feeds the power stations. It's emptying some out of there as well. But as you can see, it leaves a gap because it's split off. Now these continue. I do like the way that looks. It's nice and neat. And this goes into a merger. Now you know how the coal went around the production line for steel at the back. Well, that's coming all the way around here into this clever little switch. Now I originally had it all the way coming in here into there, and this conveyor belt wasn't there. But if you do that, whenever this conveyor belt was full up and you kept getting stopped dead time, so when it was waiting for coal to go past from this conveyor belt, it kept stopping here, stopping, so I split it into two. So this conveyor brings coal in and feeds in any gaps created by the coal conveyor belt going to the power station. It's getting a bit complicated, but it'll get more complicated later on. So you get virtually equal amounts of coal on both conveyor belts. Now conveyor belts go up, and I've split these two into two. We have coal going into that smelter and coal going into that smelter. Let's do the coal first. Then the second conveyor belt goes up, goes into that smelter and that smelter. Then we have the ore production lines coming on here, and that's been split into two. That goes into those smelters and that goes into those smelters, well, forges. Then up here we have two leftover conveyor belts. Then I can make those go somewhere else later. So I built a little storage, equipment builder and a mini hub. So we have these forges creating steel. Let's do it from this side. So we've got the coal and the iron going into these forges. These four are making steel. And then we have copper going split into two, going into these two smaller smelters. So I've got all the forges going into storage if I actually need it when they're full up, but we're not at the moment, so that's why we're empty. Then from the storage I've put splitters in case I need to offshoot it to anywhere else. So these are the same up to now. Then we have, this is making steel beams, and this constructor is also making steel beams. That's where the steel's being made and going to at this side. Now I need to combine the steel beams and cement. So you remember the limestone coming off. We have that coming off to the side, that's being split into two. That's making concrete. So we have the steel beams and the concrete going into this assembler, and that's making encased industrial beams. Then we have another concrete going off to the side, going into another one that's collecting beams, and that's making another industrial encased beams. So that's being collected here and here. So they're both the same. And then on this side, instead of beams, which those two constructors are making, these two constructors are making steel pipes. So you've got one there and one here. And again, they're taking steel from those forges into here. Now that goes into this assembler, and this makes stators. So we have steel pipes going in from these two constructors. Then you remember the copper going from our main conveyor belt into these two smelters. They're coming out as copper ingots. These are going into these constructors to be converted into wire. Then the wire is coming out of that one, going into that assembler. Then the copper wire is coming out of this one, going into this assembler. These are making stators. That's how you pronounce them. So these are coming out. Remember, we have encased industrial beams here. So the stators are coming out of this side, and we need two more assemblers. So we have the stators going into this one, and that needs to be combined with rotor to make the motors. So we have the stators going from that assembler into this one, and that one into this one. But we need rotors, so the rotors are coming from there and here, being split into two. And we have rotors from the production line below, all the way down here. Put my little cushion thing so I don't get fall damage. So we have spare concrete there at the moment. This is the assembler that's making rotors from screws and rods. That goes along here into this storage box, being stored there for now. Then that comes up, now I needed a way to get it up there, so build like this roller coaster of conveyor belts, so it goes up here, and in fact let's follow it. So it goes up, so it goes up there, and then around, curves around again, goes up. That gives me enough height, then that goes up into the floor above. Let's take the ramp up, and that brings us out here. And then they go, as you've seen, all across here. And that's the final piece, final items to go into the assembler. And these assemblers, of course, are building the motors. Let's have a look at them come out. It's making one now. There we go. Our little motors, and they're being stored in these storage boxes. And that's my fully working steel production line, which is pretty darn good. I almost ran out of space. I suppose I can add a bit more if I need to. But yeah guys, that's my steel production line on the next level. Pretty impressed with it. It took all day to build. You'll just get to see the highlights. This is a really good puzzle building game. So that's hopefully the majority of all the hard things to build. And then on the next episode you'll see me going up and learning different tech tiers again. So I've moved my HUD over here. I'm still working out what's the best place for it. So we've done tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. We've already done this one. Next I'll be learning this tier and that, bigger storage and faster conveyor belts. Then we can go to tier 5 and 6, which is in the space elevator. Going the wrong way, there you go. Let's see what that needs to take me to the next tier. I've not built the conveyor belts because it's just easy to carry stuff in. At the moment anyway. So I need 500 modular frames and 150 motors, which are being produced now. So guys, thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe if you've not already, and click the bell icon to get notified of when I upload next. There's links to other videos at the end. Comment on what you would like to see. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again. Goodbye.